to another episode of Captain Clarity. Rick, how have you been?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Just talking about North Carolina.
What are you laughing at?
I don't know. Right before we start, I'm always laughing.
He's laughing at me getting angry at the technology. Before we logged into this, I had a little angry
you
session
folks,
right there.
You
I went on a little rant.
Hard, you don't know how hard we work to get this podcast off the ground every
frustrating.
few weeks.
If it'll work, I do want to share a picture from our recent trip down to North Carolina.
I love that.
Yeah. Us three, you, me, and Connor, are under a waterfall down in North Carolina. For those of you watching and not listening, that, it seems like it'd be real easy to swim up to that. Every time we got close to it, the current would push us so far away from it. And it's also very tough to see because the water's just spraying in your eyes. But that was a really cool experience, all nature down there.
Was that Looking Glass Falls?
It was called Looking Glass Falls outside of Asheville, North Carolina.
That was cool. We went on a pretty good hike for a bunch of hungover guys and in the humidity, and then went down to that waterfall and swam in the waterfall. And that sure was fun.
We did.
Really fun. I think we started a trend too, because there must have been 30 or 40 people at the base of the waterfall just taking pictures and selfies, and nobody was in the water, and we're just like, we're going in. And did you notice after we went in, a whole bunch of people started going in too?
We started the trend. We really did. Well, it also felt good because that was after a long, hot, humid hike, and I just wanted to get in cold water, and I think that water must have been 65 degrees. But it felt, sounds miserable. It felt so good.
It felt great. 60, 65, that's super manageable. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That was a great time.
Did you have a picture to share? Because I have another thing from this trip that's somewhat business related.
No, send it. I'm worried about what pictures you're going to share from this trip, so, keep it PG.
No. This is business related, I promise. So, coming back from this trip, which this was about 2 weeks ago, we stopped at a gas station. First of all, let me just say, we drove down there and drove back. Very, very long drives. The drive back was much longer. It's at least 10 hours, probably more like 11 by the time we were done with it. We stopped at a gas station in Virginia to change drivers, get gas, grab bite to eat, etc. In the gas station, I overhear a conversation while I'm waiting to check out, in the line to check out, between three people, probably, I think it was a woman and two men, probably in their mid to late 40s, talking about how bad the economy is right now and how bad the U.S. economy is doing and how terrible it is and how it couldn't get any worse. And listen, I get it. It's different for everybody depending on your situation. I understand.
It's like real estate. It's hyper local. It depends specifically
on your life. I understand it varies from person to person, but just looking at it from a,
big picture,
30,000 feet up, looking down angle from a bird's eye view. This is from Y Charts and Charlie Blello. U.S. jobless claims have moved down to their lowest levels since January of 2024, indicating fewer people are filing for unemployment insurance. So jobless claims, incredibly low. I'd imagine that they'd be much, much higher if the economy was really doing that bad.
Every metric, jobless claims, GDP growth, earnings growth. Okay. I was going to say all the economic signals are pretty darn good.
Speaking of GDP, the U.S. economic expansion is now 74 months old, with most economists expecting it to continue for at least another quarter. The average expansion since 1949 was 67 months. So we are 7 months past the average expansion since 1949. Guys, again, I get it. Everyone's individual situation is a little bit different. But just looking at it objectively from a bird's eye view, we're doing pretty darn good.
The economy's doing well. You know what it is? And we've talked about this before. It's inflation. It's the one piece that is in everybody's face every day, and inflation is still sticky. That's really the issue. I'm not arguing against that. It's just, I get it. Inflation is a painful thing when it's as high as it has been in the most recent decade. But
it's just one piece of how to measure the economy's health.
Yep.
And when you
Yeah.
look at a lot of the other pieces, I mean, it's been a whole lot worse in other decades
Yeah.
than it
I
is
think
right
part of
now.
it too is, so inflation people focus on. And I think the mistake a lot of people make, people who haven't had a basic economics course, they think that well, if inflation's coming down, which it is, then why aren't prices coming down? They don't mean the same thing. Prices
Yeah.
will not come down. They're just
You
going to
actually
stop going up as fast.
you
That's all
actually
that
don't
means.
sorry.
Go ahead.
You actually don't want prices to come down because that'd be deflation, which is can be just as bad for the economy.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
what you want is wage growth to increase while price increases don't go up as much. You
Yep.
want a healthy
Exactly.
economy where price increases go up at a moderate pace, not what we've had in recent years. I get it; it's gone up much more than a moderate pace in recent years. But you want it to go up at a price increases to go up at a moderate pace while wage growth keeps up with that or even exceeds it.
Yep. Nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyway, I just thought I'd touch on that because it was that was about halfway through our trip, and it was during the leg that I took over, and it was bothering me while I was driving, thinking about that conversation because I just wanted to interject and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're incorrect." But of course, at a gas station in Virginia, when I'm tired and hungover, that conversation is probably not going to
Yeah.
go as well as
I
you
thought you were
play
going
it
to
out in
talk
your
about the gas stop on
head.
the way down. Guys, we stopped at a Bucky's on the way down in
Oh
Virginia.
yeah,
That was on the way down. Different stop. If you've never been to a Bucky's, everybody raves. It was pretty cool. I have to tell you, it was awesome. The brisket sandwich I got at a gas station, Bucky's, was exceptional. I mean, that place is fun. So Bucky's, credit to Bucky's. It's everything everybody says.
it yeah. I mean, I can't believe how hard they work to keep all that food just pumping out. Like, you want a burrito, it's there. Burger is there. Chicken sandwich. I mean, they have a wall of jerky. They have, I don't
Place
know,
is
ton of
gigantic.
hot sauces. It's really incredible. Yeah.
And it is a mecca because they had it packed. Could you imagine building a Bucky's and like five people show up?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not that way. It's teeming with people.
I
What do
grabbed
they have?
two.
100 gas pumps, I think. Literally
Yeah.
105, 120 gas pumps, something like that. Because the pump I was on was like 92, pump 92. I'm like, wow, there are a lot of gas pumps here.
Yeah. I saved 2 bags of beaver nuggets to eat when I'm cheating on my diet.
Those things are pretty good. Yeah, not good for you, but they're pretty good.
No, they're healthy.
All right, should I go on something I got?
Yeah, go ahead. I've been
All right.
talking way too much.
So I thought this was really interesting. It's from USA Today and the Penn State University NCAA financial report. And it's basically showing the Penn State athletics year 2025 team by team net revenue. So how much money each of the sports programs, or probably each of them, I'm guessing this is all of them, made in, how much money they brought in, less expenses they paid out. And it is fascinating. For the entire year of 2025, all the athletics combined made $223,000 in change. The only thing is, there are only two that actually made money. The rest lost money. Football made 57 million in change. Men's basketball made 172,000, and all the other athletic programs lost money. So football and men's basketball carrying the entire athletics, and I would venture to guess this is very similar at Ohio State, University of Miami, and so on and so forth. All
Well,
the
and
big programs.
also look at the difference in revenue between basketball and football. So basketball and football are the only two sources of revenue coming in, and football far exceeds men's basketball. I mean, it's really just football.
It's all football. Football's carrying every athletic program, and I would venture to say it's probably this way at most large universities that have a nationally known football team. Really
Yeah.
fascinating. I mean, even baseball, men's baseball lost 3 million in change. Uh, it's it's all those TV rights and what people actually want to watch, and pretty impressive. So, it's enough on that. I thought it was pretty fascinating.
Yeah. I didn't know we were talking about college football already because I had a piece on college football as well. So, I mean,
Go.
it's getting to be that time of the year. I'm getting excited. I love college football. So this is from CNBC and The Athletic. College football programs versus MLB franchises. They're showing the projected 2026 valuations for certain college football teams and certain MLB franchises. saying that some college football programs are now worth more than the least valuable MLB teams. So they're showing the most valuable college football programs estimated in 2026 to the least valuable MLB teams in
So baseball,
2026.
Major League
So
Baseball.
Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, there's so much money in Major League Baseball. And it's college football. We're not even talking about professional football. We're talking
Yeah, look
about
at that.
college football. For those of you listening, let me just throw out a ridiculous stat here. So, the 2026 projected valuation of the Texas Longhorns football program is $2.46 billion. The 2026 projected valuation of the Miami Marlins professional baseball team, $1.4 billion. Less less than half of what a college football team from Texas is valued.
Yeah, about half. Yeah, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Top of the list there below Texas are Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Georgia, and Alabama, all college football teams, all worth more than teams like the Cincinnati Reds, Minnesota Twins, Pittsburgh Pirates, Kansas City Royals, and of course the Miami Marlins. So that is it's where the money flows to. TV network TV money is really, really a powerful thing. I mean, some of this is merchandising, ticket sales, and so on and so forth, but it's really TV money. I gotta imagine it's TV.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to get some angry comments back for saying this, but I say this with my friends too. Uh, Baseball's America's pastime. Football's America's passion. It just is. I mean, baseball's great. I love baseball, but there's nothing most Americans love more than football in
Yeah,
terms of sports. I'm sorry.
you're gonna get some hate for that, but the numbers, the
No,
data bears it out.
I'm a data guy. The data is the data. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Good one. That's a good one. All right, so on to the stock market just a little bit. We've been talking about everything, but which is good. It's fun. So stocks this year, S&P 500, let's use that as a proxy. They're up around 12, 13, 13.5%, depending on when you're looking this year. Somewhere around 12 or 13% this year. And this chart I thought was fascinating from the opening bell. It shows where the returns are coming from so far in 2026. Now, returns could come from dividends. Well, that's almost nothing. It's 0.78% of the return this year. Um, it could come from price earnings expanding, meaning people are paying up for stocks even though maybe the earnings aren't going up at the same pace. So people saying, I'll pay more for that stock even though the earnings aren't going up. Well, that's actually contracted because earnings have gone so much. People are paying less per earnings than they were before. So that's actually, been a detraction. What's really coming from is earnings. Earnings account for pretty much almost all of the year-to-date returns in stocks are being created by the fact that the companies underlying those stocks are putting up just monster earnings. Really impressive, right? When you look at that, this is very, very healthy. If it was the price earnings multiple was driving it, that would be worrisome. That would be worrisome because people are getting ahead of themselves. This is the exact opposite of that. The strongest possible thing that could drive stock prices is driving stock prices, and it's earnings.
Yeah, that's incredibly healthy. And if you, I have actually a great piece from First Trust Advisors to add on to this. I didn't know you were going to bring that up. Kind of a great coincidence here. So, if we're talking about health, with this piece you're seeing here, for those of you listening, it's the earnings of the Magnificent Seven. So the Mag Seven stocks versus the remaining 493 companies in the S&P 500 index. And their earnings. So it's basically saying, although the Mag 7 earnings growth has slowed, the remaining 493 companies have shown dramatic improvement after emerging from negative territory in the second quarter of 2024, generating consistent growth over the last 2 years. Basically saying more robust earnings are generally a healthy signal for the markets overall. So to your point about earnings being healthy and driving stock prices, even healthier, it's not just the Mag 7. It's not just these massive 7 stocks with their earnings driving market growth. It's a lot of companies in the S&P 500, which is incredibly healthy in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a great image. I mean, if Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Tesla, the Mag 7, were driving the bulk of the earnings growth, we'd be saying, well, listen, there are 493 other companies and they're not carrying the baton at all. They got to get their earnings up. And we're actually seeing that those other 493 companies are generating outsized earnings as well. That is another very, very healthy thing. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. We're in a midterm election year, and when you look back over decades of history with regards to what that means for stocks, this image is great. This image is from Y Capital, and it's basically an image showing over the last 72 years through every 4-year presidential election cycle. And this one focuses on the midterm year and then the third year. So midterm year is this year, of course, and next year is the third year, 2027. And what it's showing is the median return for stocks during different periods over those 2 years. And what we're basically seeing here is what we kind of know to be true, and that is once you get into about the once you get into about the fourth quarter of this year, so right around October, maybe even late September, through basically until about summer of next year, historically, that's been the single strongest period for stocks of the 4-year presidential election cycle. So we're about to enter like a 12-month period or an 8 or 12-month period where historically stocks have fared incredibly well, which is so hard for the human lizard brain to accept because stocks have been doing well to this point, but we are entering the sweet spot historically for when stocks continue to do well and actually outperform their own long-term average.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't have to happen, but exciting if it does. I'll take
Yeah,
it.
sure
Yeah.
would be fun, wouldn't it? Hey, I got one more piece on this, and if you don't mind,
Are you doubling up on me?
yeah, just real quick. So it's basically the same concept. This piece is from Blue Curtic Market Insights, and it's basically saying the history of midterm election years since 1950. Buying the S&P 500 at the start of August in a midterm year, that's now, has been positive 100% of the time. 1 year later, the average return is north of 19%. So it just spells it out again. It's not that there aren't bumps in the road along the way. It's just that historically, the next 12 months tend to be a pretty good period for stocks historically. All right, that's it. I'm done doubling up.
And if that in that chart before, if that earnings multiple was higher than it is, or
Yeah,
if companies weren't making as much money as they currently are, I'd say that's something that's going to pop. It's a bad thing, but like we just said, the market's healthy. So I'm not saying that has to happen, but it very well could. So
yep, yeah,
what I mean by that has to happen is that growth that has historically happened after midterm election years is a
yep,
possibility.
yeah, man.
Do you know what is
Give me a riddle.
also pretty wild? No, I'm not actually. From Hedgeye, China's real estate market has erased all gains from the last 20 years, their residential property prices.
Wow,
I feel like
wow.
this
So
this
residential
should have
real
been
estate.
something that people talked more about. Yeah, China's residential real estate, their whole residential real estate market just erased all of their gains since 2006.
Wow. You imagine that? So this index fell from like 112 down to 87. So you're talking about a 30% decline. You imagine you own $1 million, I know it would be in dollars, house in China, and now it's worth 700 grand over the course of 2.5 years.
Imagine that happening right now in the US. All
Yeah,
imagine all American residential real estate gains from the last 20 years being erased
yeah,
within 2 years. I mean,
yeah.
it'd
Oh
be
my gosh.
chaos. It'd be,
Do you
people
know how
would
many people
panic.
with rental properties or Airbnbs would be in serious cash flow trouble?
Oh
That'd
my
be a
goodness.
mess. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess the dollar's not being replaced by the Chinese currency anytime soon.
that'd be pretty doubtful. Yeah.
Yeah, with that kind of volatility. So, artificial intelligence, everybody's worried about artificial intelligence taking jobs. And I'm sure we always say this on a one off basis here and there. People have lost jobs to AI. I get it. But on a broader database basis, this is a really, really interesting piece from Ramp Capital. And the article says we can finally say AI isn't killing jobs, at least not in the overall sense. And then they say no one, no promises on your specific job. But overall, they're saying firms that adopt artificial intelligence grow headcount 10.2% over the 2 years after adoption. Then they do say, though, these gains are entirely driven by high intensity adopters. So firms that adopt AI and then use it aggressively versus kind of layering it in there and saying, hey, if you want to use this, you can. Those firms that aggressively adopt it are actually expanding the number of people they hire. At the companies making the largest artificial intelligence investments, entry level headcount grew 12% over the 2 years following adoption. So it's actually an optimistic piece on artificial intelligence and humans working together, cats and dogs living together in harmony, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is promising to see. And I'm glad you shifted to AI because I've got a
You always have
piece
something
on
on me.
piece on AI as well.
All right.
I always talk about AI. So this is from Bank of America Research, actually. Generational transfer in free cash flows taking place. So, for those of you who don't know or aren't watching this and just listening, there are companies called hyperscalers, considered hyperscalers. Good examples would be Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Oracle. Tech companies that are currently taking a lot of their free cash flow, cash they have on hand, and spending it like a drunken sailor on AI. And what this chart is showing is, where's that money going? What's it being spent on? Well, AI. Well, what do you mean by AI? Well, it's going to semiconductor companies. So companies like NVIDIA,
Micron.
um, yeah, Micron, to give them AI infrastructure, to give the hyperscalers AI infrastructure.
You
In this
need
chart,
you need chips to do AI, and that's the semiconductor companies.
if you're listening, I urge you to take a look at this chart eventually on our website or on YouTube. It is just wild, the
It is.
crossover that happened this year in free cash flows. I mean, they basically just traded free cash flow. I've never seen a chart like this. This is
Yeah.
incredible.
So basically, the Amazons, Facebooks, Oracles, and so on of the world, up until they decided to aggressively adopt artificial intelligence, they had so much free cash rolling around. We're making so much money. We don't know what to do with all this cash. Just pile it up over there, kind of thing. And then when they started saying, wait a minute, if we don't get on this AI train, we're going to be left behind and we're going to become Blockbuster and everybody else will be Netflix. They had to start spending tons and tons of that cash. All their free cash flow goes out the window. It's got to go somewhere. Where's it going? It's going to the chip companies, the semiconductor manufacturers, and now they're the free cash flow winners. Yeah, it is an amazing chart. It'll be interesting in 5 or 10 years. There'll be textbooks written about this in business schools.
I mean, it's just all these companies, these tech companies, seeing who can create the best AI infrastructure, AI tech the fastest. It's
Yeah,
really wild what we're seeing right now.
yeah.
And just to quantify that too, real quick, with this from Columbia Business School and
Oh,
Prof
this
G
is
Media,
cool.
that this again, if you're listening, shows capex as a share of U.S. GDP. So capital expenditure as a share of the total U.S. GDP, and what it's showing is the AI build out currently happening right now. So how much money we're spending or projected to spend from 2025 to 2032 in the entire US on AI. It's showing that compared to what we spent from 1996 to 2003 on telecom and fiber.
So the build
Um,
out of the internet,
yep.
basically.
On the highway build out from 1956 to 1973. So, how much money we spent in terms of GDP on building America's, interstate highways in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Electricity in the early 20th century, railroads in the late 19th century, and then canals in the
Canals.
early to mid 19th century. And I mean, we've already in just a few years almost doubled the second place, which is railroads.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
this chart's cool because it's not dollars; it's a percent of GDP, so it's
so
inflation
inflation
adjusted.
can't. Yeah,
Yeah. So, and they're saying, 25 to 2032, we're expected to spend almost 4% of the economy's value on building out artificial intelligence. The only one of these that comes even close, and it's not even close, it's just north of 2%, were railroads. So this is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Well, I hope our artificial intelligence overlords someday are kind to us. That's all.
You didn't hear it on this podcast. uh,
Jesus, this podcast is going to be in the records. So now the overlords are going to come after me unless I'm nice. All right, I'm being nice.
That's all I had, other than a TV show recommendation.
All right, I got one more thing.
Business, that's all I had.
I got one more thing. So real estate. So this is a great piece that Ben Carlson put out, and the data comes from the Dallas Federal Reserve. But what he was showing was, in the United States, we think of housing as, and people aren't wrong. Housing is expensive. I mean, it's, compared to incomes, how much disposable income we have, it's tough to save up for a down payment and buy a house and afford the mortgage payments and all the other costs that come with owning a home. But what he's showing here in a 4-part chart is a comparison of housing prices versus disposable income, not just in the United States, but in the United Kingdom, in Australia, and Canada. And if you look at those 3 other countries, it's much, much harder to buy and maintain a home in the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada than it is in the United States. Much, much harder. Housing prices are well above real disposable income in those countries, whereas for us, it's just a little bit above. Interesting, huh?
It is interesting. Yeah.
Here, and I got one more
difference.
That this was kind of, so here's the blown up version of just the U.S. Just the U.S., real housing prices versus disposable income. And you can see the blue line, which is housing prices, occasionally goes above the disposable income orange line. And we had that happen just before the great financial crisis in 2005. And again, most recently. Now, they were driven by 2 separate phenomena. I wouldn't draw a parallel between those two, saying, oh, we got another housing crisis or great financial crisis coming. I don't necessarily think that's the case. It's more, this is inflation driven, and that was free money driven, where pretty much you could fog a mirror, you could get a mortgage back in 2005. But it is fascinating to see that once we get above real disposable income, at some point the housing prices, there's a little bit of a reckoning where they either flatten out and stop going up, which is mostly what we've seen for the last couple of years in the U.S. housing market, and sometimes they contract, they come back down. So we'll see if that does happen to housing prices. It's hard to picture them coming down, but flattening for a bunch of years, I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, look at the late 70s too. That probably was also due to that, the inflation effect.
That was another inflation-driven one. Exactly. Yeah. All right. What TV show you got?
I mean, he's made a whole bunch of these, but kind of a branch from the Yellowstone franchise. Taylor Sheridan's Marshals. It's one of the post. Have you seen the show Yellowstone? The show Yellowstone. I think it's on Paramount Plus. You can find it for a streaming service. This is one of the many post shows from that show. Sequel shows, I guess you could say. If you like, thriller, crime solving show that takes place in the mountains of Montana, this show's for you. It's a fun show. It's nothing. I don't know if it'll win any awards, but fun show to watch. New season comes out, I think, in October, sometime this fall.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
I've been watching it. It's a great show. Luke Grimes is awesome in it. It's great. It's just a fun modern day Western crime show.
Modern day Western. Cowboys and officers, marshals, and it's just a really fun show.
And they do a hell of a job of taking advantage of the natural landscape where it's filmed. I mean, you watch it and my blood pressure goes down watching it because it looks, I want to be there. That's
peaceful.
All I think.
Yeah, on all the ranches. Yeah. That's a good one.
All right.
Well, that's all I had, unless you had anything else.
No, I'm done, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you as always, everybody, for watching. We didn't have any listener questions this week, but please continue to send us those questions and reach out to us if you have any trouble understanding anything that we talk about on this podcast. I know we try to keep it pretty basic, but can sometimes get into the weeds on a few things.
Hit us with listener questions, topics you want to hear about. Anytime we get feedback like that, we try to incorporate it. And a lot of times you guys give us great stuff that if you're thinking of it, 10 other people are thinking about it or more. So throw it at us and we'll put it in.
Yeah. If you were mad about my comment about baseball, you don't have to write in anything. That's fine.
Please direct those emails to Keith, not to Rick.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.
The Capital Clarity podcast is presented by FA's Keith Wagner, AA, MS, Financial Advisor, and Rick Wagner, CFP, Senior Vice President, Wealth Management. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All opinions expressed are of the hosts and do not necessarily represent those of Raymond James. Opinions are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. Investing involves risk, and you may incur a profit or loss regardless of strategy selected. Prior to making an investment decision, please consult with your financial advisor about your individual situation. 2003 South Easton Road, Suite 100, Doylestown, Pennsylvania 18901, 267-742-3455, Raymond James and Associates Inc., member New York Stock Exchange SIPC. The S&P 500 is an unmanaged index of 500 widely held stocks that is generally considered representative of the U.S. stock market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, DJIA, commonly known as the Dow, is an index representing 30 stocks of companies maintained and reviewed by the editors of the Wall Street Journal. Inclusion of these indices is for illustrative purposes only. Keep in mind that individuals cannot invest directly in any index, and index performance does not include transactions, costs, or other fees which will affect actual investment performance. Past performance does not guarantee future results. 529 plans come with fees and expenses, and there is a risk they may lose money or underperform. Most states offer their own 529 programs, which may provide benefits exclusively for their residents. Please consider whether the state plan offers any tax or other benefits. Tax implications can vary significantly from state to state.